You can't wait for life to happen to you. It's all about making the first move. First to show up on set for a shoot. News roundup of the week. First to move the dialogue on social issues. And first to react to things on my show. When you know what you want, you need to take action. And your dating life doesn't have to be any different. Bumble gives women the power to go first, giving you the confidence to find the relationship you seek, or just someone who shares your passions. So make the first move. You won't regret it. Find what you're looking for on Bumble. I hate my birthdays because
I have like
who's gonna come?
Exactly, but then I'm like, okay, maybe 4 people is just what I need because I'm so happy with that.
Me too.
And I'm like, I wouldn't want it any other way. But I guess it's a scary thing to have to go out and talk to people and just feel comfortable, I guess, that you don't need to try as much as you think you do.
Yeah. Hi guys, welcome to Looking For. I'm Amelie Zilber and today's topic is near and dear to my heart. Today we are discussing how to create, navigate, and maintain friendships as a young adult. There are so many ways to do this, which we'll get into, but right off the bat, our partners at Bumble are key in this with Bumble BFF, a platform where you can search for friends just as you would on the dating side of the app. My guests today are Daniella Perkins, a very good friend of mine. She filmed Grownish with me. She's an actress. And I'm here with Olivia Sui, who is an actress, comedian, and writer. Yay. Thank you so much for both joining today.
Thank you.
Of course, I'm excited.
Honestly, Danny and I, we've had this conversation so many times about friendships, especially female friendships as a young adult, especially in Los Angeles, can be really hard.
It's a tough thing.
Yeah. So we've talked about this a lot, and I'm really, really glad you're here today.
I know, I'm excited.
And Olivia and I just met today.
We did.
And hopefully we're forming a new female friendship.
Love that.
And I'm just very excited to hear your experience as well, because we haven't had this conversation before.
Yeah. This is a topic that's it always happens. You know, my girlfriends and I are always talking navigating female friendships. So this is gonna be fun, I think.
Good. So obviously when we're children, it's a lot easier to make friendships because we're young, we're naive, we don't really know anything, and we're also solely focused on one thing, and that's school or just being a child, you know? But as we become young adults, there's so many more things thrown at us, like having to pay bills, moving and going to college, or moving out of your college town and going into a new job, mental health, career. There's all of these different things that play factors into who we become as young adults. And a lot of the times it's easy to neglect friendships and really hard to make time to form new ones. So how do you guys generally navigate this?
As I've gotten older, I've started to realize, for me, I felt in my, teenage years, I was very focused on my friendships. And as I got older, I realized my goals were changing and what I wanted to do in life. And so I started to prioritize my work and just really throw myself into all of that. And I started to notice that a lot of my friendships weren't the same anymore, and that sucked. And then with my real friends who understood that, I was just, I guess, having to get better at communication and really maintaining something, because it's hard work. It's so hard to check in with people all the time and make sure everyone's doing okay when you're consumed in your whole life. It can just get to be a lot.
We work as an actress as well, you probably know this, crazy long hours for months on end, and maintaining friendships during that period can be almost impossible.
It's really hard.
It is. So finding people who respect that and also make the effort on their end to check in with you so the burden is not left on you alone is really important.
I have such a good group of friends.
That's
and we all prioritize our friendships so much. No matter for working or anything, we could be, in a different country, but we always make time to text hey, can I call you now? It's such a priority for us. We're consumed in our own lives, but that's why I love my friends so much, because we make so much time. For example, we surprise each other for our birthdays.
Oh, cute.
We literally will go out of our way just to make that person feel loved, because we are busy, but just maintaining that schedule. And it's also like this mutual respect.
I have like one very close best friend, and she's the one who will go all out. She will fly out and surprise me. I won't even know she's gonna come. She'll like coordinate things with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
So I've had like somebody like that in my entire life, but I think
Me too. I have that one friend as well.
yeah, it's been like one friend. I've never had like an entire group of people that I can like, I don't know.
Yeah.
We also all like
yeah.
lived in a very like, all of my friends, for some reason, we all live in Silver Lake or Echo Park and Los Feliz. And like, even like we just live there. So for us, like geography wise, it's like, hey, do you want to meet me for coffee really quick? Like in between this? Like, yeah, great. It's just like, and if you can't, you can't. We all like have something going on, but it's just like so, it's supposed to be easy.
Yeah. I mean, I think like geographic components help a lot because a lot of my really close friendships that I developed as I grew older, I mean, like throughout childhood into like young adulthood, they all go to college in different states and that makes it really complicated. Like I have that one best friend who flies home for my birthday every single year, which is so sweet. And I love her. She's a member of my family, honestly, at this point. But for my other friendships, not to say I love them any differently. Like I have so much love for them and I know they have so much love for me, but like geographically it makes it so difficult to like be able to just call them and be like, let's get lunch on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then it can lend itself to feeling like super lonely at times when you see people who like have all these big groups of friends in one, or not even bigs, but just like 4 people, 4 girls or something. And
That seems like a lot.
Yeah. I'm like, I would love to have a group. I mean, like, I feel like we had that on set, which was so nice.
But then
but then everyone left and they went
know,
to
I
New
know it
York.
happens.
Yeah. A lot of times, like, we grow up and keep a lot of our friends from childhood. But in the case that, like, geographically you're not all together or friendships drift apart, which is, like, totally normal and a very real part of growing up, how do you create meaningful friendships in, like, adulthood when you don't have like school as a backup to find people and connect with them?
I met my best friend working and we basically like lived together in upstate New York for 2 weeks and we really got to know each other really, really well. And somehow we both live in LA and we travel and stuff, but we kind of just like formed this friendship, and then I met her friends and then she met my friends and then they all became friends. And through that, there's just like different groups that formed. And sometimes, yeah, it is tricky navigating, you know, like my home friends with my new friends. It's like, oh my God, like I get this anxiety. Are they all going to hang out? Like, are they going to like each other?
Yeah.
But then it's also like, it's not really, the pressure is like, I used to put so much pressure hoping that people can get along, you know? But now I'm just like, you know what? If it works out, it works out. Like we all have separate relationships with each other and we have good intentions. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, that's also fine too, you know?
I met like one of my really good friends, like my best friend. I met her because I loved her YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And so like I followed her and I just waited for her to follow me back. And then she DM'd me and she came out to LA. And then she ended up living with me for a while. And then she moved to LA. And it's my longest friendship I have ever had.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess just
Maybe online.
I went for, I'd never ever been that type of person either. Like I've never been the one to reach out on the internet, I guess. And I just did, and it's my best friend.
Yeah, that's really nice. So speaking of trying to find people online, sometimes it's hard if you're starting from scratch. So you may know Bumble is a dating app, but guess what? It also has a friend finding platform called Bumble BFF. Now I know it can be hard to sometimes make friends as an adult, but Bumble BFF was built to literally combat that. It has a huge community of people who are looking for the exact same thing as you. It's great if you just moved, if you're a new mom, if you're just looking to expand your social circle in general, whatever your reason may be, there's no shame in it. Like we all struggle with building friendships as young adults. Like that is not a rarity in anyone's life. We all do. You basically build a profile just like how you would on the dating side of the app, but you just list out what you're looking for in a friend. So speaking of that, why do you think it's vulnerable, like going out and meeting new people?
I just think that's a scary thing in general. Like that, meeting new people, at least for me, I always feel like I'm like trying to like sell myself in a sense.
I feel that.
And like, I want to like have a lot of friends, and I want to be that person that like if I'm having a birthday party and like I'm gonna invite people, like where I am now, I'm like, oh my god, I think I'd maybe have like 4 people.
No, Danny, literally, I'm like I hate my birthdays because
I have like
who's gonna come?
Exactly, but then I'm like, okay, maybe 4 people is just what I need because I'm so happy with that.
Me too.
And I'm like, I wouldn't want it any other way. But I guess it's a scary thing to have to go out and talk to people and just feel comfortable, I guess, that you don't need to try as much as you think you do.
Yeah.
And that's what I've realized when I don't really try is when I attract the most people.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For sure.
Yeah. I think also like being hurt in former relationships, like friendships, you're just like overly protective of your energy and your like your world, you know? And that's how I am, because I feel like in LA there's so many people and everyone wants to be friends and like know people and like, you know, and sometimes when you just have this like open heart, a lot of people come in and you don't know, you know, like you could get hurt and maybe you love them and you guys are really, really good friends for a little bit. And then you realize, oh, there's some things that maybe I don't align with them in. And then you become like, oh my God, I want to protect this vulnerability.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also think like for example, like I trust the people that my best friends are friends with too. Because I guess we're all like, you know, we prioritize the same things. We have like the same foundation and how we communicate and stuff. And then it just is easy. But yeah, like it's hard. I feel like it's hard to just be like, I click with you. Let's be friends. I don't know. You could be a freaking murderer.
Yeah. And it's also like friendship is built on such emotional intimacy as well. Like to build a really meaningful connection, sometimes that means you have to like really open up and like tell them your secrets, and that makes a friendship stronger, but that also can be really frightening because if they're not good people and you just can't sense that off the bat, then you're just like lending yourself up to an opportunity to get hurt.
Yeah.
So it is scary for sure. Are you in a relationship?
I am.
Okay, so all 3 of us are in relationships, and a lot of the times maintaining friendships when you have a relationship, when you are like working full time, when you have this whole life, it can be really hard to maintain friendships. So how do you guys do that to the best of your ability?
I feel like I need to get better at that, honestly, if I'm just being completely honest, because I do get lost in, I mean, it sounds like really bad, but I get so into everything that's going on because like when I'm not on set, like, you know, I'm doing a self-tape, and when I'm not doing a self-tape, I'm doing a brand deal, and when I'm not doing that, I need to spend time with my boyfriend, or I need to go to his family event, and then I'm like, oh my God, wait, I have a sister, I need to go see my sister, and then by the time everything's done, I'm very, very tired.
I feel you.
And I was getting a couple texts like when we were doing the past season of Grownish, and somebody literally told me I was like a bad friend, and I was like, and it hurt my feelings so much because like in my head I thought we were really close, and like I thought it was like okay, and I realized that was like where I like, you know, go wrong in certain situations, that I'm not doing my best to like talk to somebody as much as I should be, or just like texting, and if I get a text I'm like, oh, I can respond, and then I end up like not responding.
No, that's my biggest problem too.
And it's like I love you, and I love you as a friend so much, and I love our friendship, and like whenever I hang out with you it feels like no time has passed at all. So like in my head I automatically assume like that's just like the relationship everybody else has with me, when that's not the case, because a lot of people need other things to like know that like you guys are friends and everything's good. And I guess I just don't take I don't know. And
it's
so
hard. It's a learning process for sure. Like, I mean, I'm learning how to do that too. I mean, part of the good thing about having most of my friends live outside of Los Angeles is there was no like pressure for me to like take my like Saturday, my one day of like being a corpse on my bed to go do something with them. And I could just like text them or call them or FaceTime them. And that was a good thing, but it's a struggle, and I definitely relate to you. And like we're so young that I feel like we will get a handle on it, but it's really good that we're both self-aware about this in the first place.
I feel like I've been trying a little bit more with like people ever since I had, because I like genuinely never realized that, or like that was like a thing, how I could make people feel, and I was like, oh my God.
I'm sorry, that's like a tough thing to, because whenever I get a text like that I'm like, my heart like literally drops. My nervous system cannot keep up. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know this. I was making someone feel that way, you know? But I'm sure it's also really hard to call out a friend too, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, FaceTime is great though. Like FaceTime dates are awesome. Like I'll be catching up with my friend. We'll talk for like an hour and she's like, oh my God, great. It's like we just hung out. And group FaceTimes are great too.
Something that I thought I could start doing is because I love film and television so much. Like I live for film and television, is texting my friend and being like, oh, do you want to start this at the same time? And then we just text throughout. Because then you're already taking a moment for yourself, right? And then you can use that opportunity to like also be there for your friend in that moment and like connect on something. Because a lot of the times, like when we want to watch like film or television, we're like, I don't want to, this is my like me time. You know what I mean? But you can use that as an opportunity to like connect. So I thought maybe I should start doing that.
Yeah. Or sending memes. That's always so fun.
Sending memes. Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah. It's just like, you get it, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So what are some ways that you guys like create flourishing relationships? And like, how do you prevent getting to the point where you receive a text that makes your heart sink into your stomach?
Checking in is really important. Like, how are you? What's going on? How was your day? And like asking questions and being curious about the other person's life.
Yeah.
Because for me, you know, like we're all busy. I have a boyfriend, I have a dog, I have my family. It's like I'm trying to do a lot of things. But, you know, like when we have conversations, like taking interest in someone's life is really important.
In times where people have like different communication styles, you know, maybe they don't respond to their texts. Like sometimes it's hard to respond to texts. How do you continue, or do you like want to continue a friendship where someone doesn't really respond? Like they don't like texting, they don't like FaceTiming, they like being present with you.
I think there has to be like a bigger thing, you know? It's like, for me, luckily, I think just throughout years of friendships and just life, you kind of narrow your circle and you're like, oh, this feels normal. This feels natural and effortless to me, you know? And the things that you do need to put in work, it's worth it because our friendship is worth it.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I'm not a good texter.
Yeah.
But for some reason, my friends get that. And they're like, oh, she's more of a FaceTime person.
I'm like that too.
Same.
Yeah. Like,
and
call
me
anytime. You know what I think it is? I think it's because for me, I'm on my phone so much. I do so much work on my phone. And when a notification comes, I just swipe it up or I'll read it and I move on to the thing that I'm doing in the moment, like my work.
Same.
So then I forget. And I'm like, oh, but I think it's like, you know, all my friends know. Like, that's just, they
my
understand.
friends know that too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've learned. A lot of my friends, they do understand like how like it works for me, I guess, and like each other, because a lot of my friends, we're the same way.
Yeah.
Like they also don't need, and maybe that's just like, you know, finding alike people in finding your friends. And so like my very best, like actual like best friends, they're the same way as me. Like they don't need that constant community. And like sometimes I envy those friendships where they're like, oh my God, and like all like that all the time. And it makes me feel like I'm missing something, kind of.
Yeah.
In a way, but then and it makes me question myself. And it turns into this entire thing. And I don't know.
Yeah. No, I feel you. I mean, I think friendship looks different to everyone. And it's really easy to kind of get caught up in the moment of like, oh, there are these like groups of girls that go and do everything together and they're texting in their group chat all the time, and like, but you know, they come with their own set of problems. Like you never know what's happening in their lives. Maybe they're constantly getting into drama with each other. Like you just never know. So I think it's very normal to have that sense of FOMO, but as long as you're feeling like fulfilled in the friendships that you do have, I think that's really important. I feel like I've heard this a million times and you guys have too. It's like quality over quantity, you know? And I feel like that really does hold true.
Social media has such a skewed perception, I think, that it gives off to people. Like sometimes I'll be like on TikTok and I'll see like a friend group. I'm like, oh, they look like they're having so much fun. But then you just realize like, you know, it's not, you never know what it's actually like.
Yeah.
And you can only like care about what you're doing and like how you're making your friends feel.
Sometimes it's really hard to recognize when a friendship has become toxic. Because I think a lot of the times friendships can start out really nicely and then they can evolve in a really negative way. Have you guys experienced that? And how did you like get out of that?
My problem is I don't notice like the red flags in certain people until like it's pointed out to me. So I guess and when I do realize, you know, oh, it's maybe not the best, I kind of just distance myself in a way. And I never really, especially if it's a person I feel is like I'm really close with and I don't want that relationship to end and there really are issues, I will vocalize them and I'll talk and I'll try to, you know, figure things out. But there have been people who've, you know, just came into my life and I'm like, oh, they're so fun, and we'd hang out, and then I was like, oh wow, it's a great time. And then, you know, as time goes on, I'm like, oh, this is a little weird, or I know like they're saying something and then like what they show to me is completely different, and those are the type of people I'm like, okay, I don't feel the conversation that has to happen, and I just distance myself.
And I think you have every right to do that.
Yeah.
By the way. Yeah.
I'm like, it's so interesting with me. Like, I can see red flags, right? And then I distance myself. But then I also have this like loyalty to people that is to a fault, you know? I think I just have this like, this quality where I just like love to protect my friends. And like, once you're my friend, I will protect you and be loyal to you till the end. And even if people are like, hey, like this, I'm like, trust me, like you just have to trust me. This person is amazing. And now I feel like I'm getting better at setting those boundaries and being like, oh, like you don't need to always go out of your way to protect someone. Like they're fine. Like they're also an adult. And but it's tricky because sometimes it's like you don't want to face the actual, for me, I'm like, I hate confrontation and I don't like to make people feel bad and awkward, and like, cause I like where everything is, you know, easy and fun, but sometimes like now I'm learning it's okay to have those difficult conversations. Like, hey, this is what you did and I'm letting you know because it really affected me. And if I want this relationship to grow, like we have to talk about these difficult things.
I definitely identify as someone who takes friendship very seriously. Like I develop really, really, really meaningful friendships, and I put a lot of myself into those friendships, and I put a lot of trust into my friendships. And I'm also a very loyal person like yourself. And when someone starts to become toxic or like starts exhibiting signs of toxicity, it's so difficult for me to try to like distance myself from them because I take friendship so seriously.
Yeah.
It's very hard and very sad as well.
I know. It's like heartbreaking sometimes to like go through it because, you know, I'm sure like you just want to love your friends, you know, and like when the issue arises, you're like, how can I communicate this to you without hurting you, but also being like truthful and honest for myself?
Yeah.
Sometimes like people, I have friends who are so good at that and I'm like so envious. I'm like, wow, I wish I could communicate in that way. Like, but you know, I'm still learning.
Yeah, I love those like obviously I don't love them because like if you're having a conversation like that with people, it means there's something happening. But after you can have those conversations, I personally feel closer to the person because I'm like, oh wow, I was able to voice something that was making me feel uncomfortable and it didn't end with us not being friends and, you know, disliking one of another, like each other afterwards. So for me, I'm like, it doesn't happen often. But like when my friend told me that they don't feel like I'm being as good of a friend as I should be, we had a conversation and it was a long one and it was such a good conversation that the relationship felt so much better after.
That's really good. Yeah, so, that's really great. What do you do if your partner's friends are rude to you or are toxic to him or them?
I tell them.
You tell the friends?
You're bold.
No, I tell my partner.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you meant his friends too.
I was like, okay. Oh, wow.
But, you know, like, I feel like everyone has a choice. Like, I respect that you don't have to this is just my opinion and how I feel. You can take that however you want to take it. Like, I'm never going to dictate your choices and your friends. But like my boyfriend and I, we've been together for 3.5 years, 4 years. So our friends our group has just meshed in a way. And there are, this is something we deal with, like, oh, we have a different group or a new group of friends. Like, we don't want to make our old friends feel left out. So we always give our friends an opportunity to join and hang out. Like, our house is kind of like the hub of like, everyone just come over and like, let's have a good time.
That's sweet.
But yeah, there has been times where I'm like, hey, like, I feel like your friend said something that was a little rude or offensive. And, he'll take it in because he respects me.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I've gone through, situations like that, and they've been very, very bad to where it's made me question myself and my relationship and just everything in life and I was so confused as to how people who I've never even met could have such an opinion about me and that they felt so comfortable being that way to my boyfriend and like being so openly about their and in a way felt like hatred towards me. And it could have been, he was the first one, and I think it was like the boys mentality, like the boys are like, that's my brother, like they always put the guys before anything. And so it could have been that he was the first one that had like a serious relationship, and they didn't like that because I've never met these people. And so I told my boyfriend, and he wrote them a whole thing of like, guys, like, I love her, this is not acceptable, all that stuff. And they removed themselves from the conversation. So he's like, this isn't, you guys aren't my friends. Like, he's known them since he was a baby. And everything. He's like, this is not, you guys aren't who I thought you were. And he realized that like, for him, and I didn't tell him to do anything because it's also not my place. And who am I to say, I was like, I know the relationship you have with them. I've only been dating you when this happened. It was like less than a year of dating. And so I was like, I'm not the person to become between, that relationship you have, but this is something I can't do. I just really can't. And so he was the one who was like, you know what, I think I'm just growing apart from them. And he was like, that's just,
and that happens.
Yeah, that happens.
It's
and
so
that's just
normal.
what it was, because they weren't,
being kind
at all.
We've gone over a lot of the types of forms of friendships and the different friendships that we can create as we enter into young adulthood. So I'm just going to recap a little bit of the ways that we can build new friendships when we're trying to expand our social circle. You can hone in on your hobbies and try to find groups of people who also enjoy these hobbies, whether it be sports, comedy shows, yoga, hiking, whatever it may be. You can make a weekly or monthly meetup with your friends and get it on the calendar. You got to pencil that in. Be open to meeting new people in the real world and in your everyday interactions. You never know who you'll find. Be open and let go of the shame of meeting people online. That's a big one. Bumble BFF is there for you no matter what stage of life you're in, and there's no shame in it. And then for some tips for lasting friendships, there's things to keep in mind, like be present, check in with them, don't be flaky, and just like communicate with them. Make sure that everyone is on the same page so that there's no heart-sinking texts or moments of like, holy shit, what have I done? And also protecting yourself from people who may try to be your friend and have toxic tendencies. You don't want to invite that energy into your life. Thank you guys so much for coming. This is like a vulnerable thing to talk about. So I really appreciate you guys being open and authentic in what you are trying to say. And I just appreciate you guys coming.
Thank you for creating a safe space for us.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Felt good.
My living room. And thank you guys so much for tuning in to Looking For. I'm Amelie Zilber, and I will be back with another episode next week, brought to you by Bumble right here on the Past Your Bedtime YouTube channel.